Oh, live. Hi, everyone. We're live. Welcome to Friday. We're taking bets on when that Evil Knievel behind me will fall. I did a little rearranging. Oh gosh, gotta put the Vezina
This is
back.
what Friday looks like.
There's the Vezina. All right, so yeah, so basically, I put Beaker back there holding the Stanley Cup, and let's see, there we go, and that's funny. All right, so we're going to start the show today. We are going to do a special show for the Patreon people on Monday because I figured out finally how this Patreon thing works, and so it takes a little while to post it and to get it all together. So I'm going to post it this afternoon or maybe tomorrow on the weekend or something like that. It'll come on Monday, and that'll be that. And then, so those of you who are still subscribing to Patreon, thank you so much. More of you have subscribed all the time. It's like when we get a $10 a month subscription in here, my wife gives me a hug. So, if you like me and you want me to get hugs, go for it. So this weekend is pretty funny as a little pre-show thing. This is one of the few weekends we're not going to the shore. We have other things going on. And, yes, yeah, we'll figure that out, Russ. Actually, wish I should be there, too, for that one. All right, we'll talk about that. So maybe it'll be Tuesday or Wednesday, but we'll let you know for sure. It's going to be once a week, so it's going to start next week, and we'll get it to a regular scheduled time. And also, here's one thing I wanted to mention. On our Patreon site, when you see this thing go up, if you're interested in coming on for that show, like we'd like to get a couple people who are Patreons on each of those shows. Just as like co-hosts type thing, so that you can sit there and you can ask questions, you can hang out with us. You need to have a relatively good camera, or just a laptop, with good internet, like at least 5 upload speed, 20 down, somewhere in there. If you have like I do, which is like this crazy FiOS thing, which is like 100 both ways, that's awesome. But I'm not bragging.
Do we guarantee their tile goes next to Mike, or is it random?
I think it's random. I never figured out how the tiles work. Is it the first person just shows up there, right? That's how it works, right? So
I'm first on my camera, so
left to right, I see you, and then Russ, and then me. Yeah.
Right.
So I do like when they run the show how it changes to whoever's talking, but when you don't run the show, it's just you have to pick who you watch.
Yes.
Which is odd. They should have the both. I don't know why. But anyway, if you have a Google Plus account, which everybody does, if you have a Gmail account, which everybody has to have by the law.
Not everybody uses it though.
Right, not everybody uses it, but you might not use it, but everybody has a Gmail account. It is the law, after all.
And if you donate $25 or more to Patreon, I will stop using sound effects for a week.
Ah, there we go. Someone said, how much do I have to pay to get no Maple Leaf talk for a day?
Wow.
I said,
well, on behalf of Ed Belfour, $1 billion.
$1 billion, no. No, we don't talk too much Maple Leafs or Flyers, but obviously, guys, like Mike is a Maple Leaf writer. Russ covers the Flyers, I cover the Flyers. We cover the whole league. Russ covers the Rangers, so we probably talk about the Rangers a lot too. So
And excuse me, they're always in the news.
And lately they're in the news, right? Not always, but we didn't talk about them much last year when they were just terrible, with the exception of at the end of the show when we did the lottery. So
we'll
talk about them more this year as time goes on for sure. And Mike, you got some really cool video we'll talk about. I want to talk about that Marner video too that you have. Maybe I can put that up somehow. Give me a shot. So send me a link if you could. It's on your Twitter, right?
It is.
All right, let me see.
From yesterday.
Right, I'll find it. All right, so there you have it. And so we're having a party tonight, and like I said, it's one of the weekends not going to the shore, which is rare, because my daughter's playing in this Maccabi games, which are this they're like the Jewish Olympic type thing, and she's playing for Team Philadelphia, and the Maccabi games are in St. Louis at the end of the month, so she's going out there, so they're having a practice / picnic this weekend. So instead, we're having a party tonight for my old guitarist from my band who turns 50 this past week, and we're having a party tonight for him. And he likes chicken nuggets, and he's a big chicken nugget fan. So what we decided to do, my wife, of course, my kids love chicken nuggets too. My daughter eats nothing but mac and cheese. My son eats nothing but chicken nuggets. My wife drinks water all the time. So I thought of a fun competition that we're having. So I've been around today earlier picking up chicken nuggets from McDonald's, Wendy's, Kentucky Fried Chicken, Chick-fil-A, Burger King, which is the worst nuggets in the world.
Yeah, but they're cheap. They're 10 for a dollar.
They're really cheap. Yeah, they are the cheapest. To buy 20 of each of these, they were like $3.29 to buy 20 nuggets.
Right.
So they are really cheap, but they're really bad though. Oh my gosh.
You're having a taste off.
So yeah, so what we're doing is a blind taste test for the best macaroni and cheeses, and then bottled water. My wife's one of my friends, my old singer from the band, is coming tonight, and she's not old, she's just
Former.
anyway, former singer. She's still in the band, so she's still the singer from the band. She's coming tonight, and she's bringing New Jersey tap water, which my wife swears is really yummy tap water. And then of course we have Pennsylvania tap water, and then I bought every kind of tap water you can imagine, from Smart Water to Deer Park to
Aquafina to Dasani.
Yeah,
I think Jersey tap water will beat PA tap water, and the only difference with the Aquafinas and some of the others, like the ones that get filtered, people might be used to that filtered taste, where then if you get some of the others that are actual spring waters, that is a different taste too.
Right. We're going to have 2 different contests. We have 20 people coming, and everybody's got to participate. And there's 2 different contests, and one of them is to try to see if you can guess which is which. So it's blindfolded. So if you can guess the nuggets, I think I can probably do the chicken nuggets pretty close, but we'll see. And then guessing the waters.
Well in that, I do.
You think you would?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah.
I would probably too, because.
Could you do hamburgers too? That's the other one. Burgers, I think it would be.
I'm out on hamburgers, as you know.
Yeah, you don't eat meat, but chicken nuggets you would probably have. So, and then mac and cheese, everywhere, my daughter's favorite mac and cheese is what they call Kraft macaroni, Kraft dinner in Canada or whatever, just Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Awful.
I know it is terrible, but she loves it.
I love it.
You love it
It's
too?
not
Yeah.
even the right color. It's like, what is she thinking when she eats that?
Yeah. No, I don't know. She just that's what she loves.
Yellow, and so is macaroni and Kraft macaroni and cheese.
There you go. So there you have it. So that's going on tonight.
Now, you're only doing instant macaroni and cheeses, or you went around to places?
No, I went to some restaurants in the area, like Fridays and Bennigan's, and
I'm going to tell you who's got amazing macaroni and cheese.
Yeah, tell me.
Might not have thought of it, is Panera Bread.
There's a Panera's near here. I could do that.
Their mac and cheese is amazing.
That's a good one. All right, I can do that for sure, because I'm going to run around and get some of those. I've got all the nuggets. I haven't gotten them. The restaurants weren't open yet, so I'm getting them tonight. And then we're going to have the party tonight, so I'll let everybody know tomorrow, or on Monday I'll let you know what is the best nuggets, the best water, and the best mac and cheese.
If anybody pukes, please take video of that.
Oh yeah, we're taking video of all of it for sure.
Okay.
No question about it. All right, so let's start here, and we'll get into the show. And I got my notes up right now, so I think we're good to go. I am wearing pants, by the way. I'm just the question. I know not that I
was wondering. Nobody.
No, but it looks like I'm not.
Nobody was wondering that.
I got these
Nobody cares. Nobody cares.
shirts, which are the same color. So anyways, I'm just showing you that I am indeed wearing pants.
Now I'm blind.
Yes.
In case you're curious, there's my.
I'm sickened.
All right, here we go. Ready? Let us go. It is the 8th. It's Friday. All right, here we go. Oh, we'll put the bell up here. Hello, Hockey World. It's Friday, July 8th, 2016.
I'm Michael Agella.
I'm Russ Cohen from Sportsology.
And I am Eklund, and you're watching the HockeyBuzzCast on HockeyBuzz.com. This is the podcast that comes to you every Monday through Friday at this time to talk to you about the hockey comings and goings, and is brought to you by people like you on Patreon.com/hockey, where you can support the show and keep it going and let us bring it to you and throw a little bit of shekels our way, just 5 cents a show or $1. That's $1 a month or $5 a month or $10 a month. Really will do wonders. And I think someone's at our door. So I may have to go get that before the dog kills them. But let's start with you, Mike, and let's talk a little bit about Maple Leafs rookie camp. And you had some real.
You broke the Maple Leaf silence that quick. It was that quick.
I know. I had to go right to it. I'll be right back.
Okay. Well, actually, what we'll talk about is the trade, because that was pretty. It was pretty big news. The rookie scrimmage was in Niagara Falls, Ontario. And it was a pretty entertaining game for the first 2 periods. I think these players, sort of ran out of gas a little bit. Russ, it was funny because I was talking to Joe Yerdon from NHL.com.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah. So I think you know him. And we commented about last year about the rookie scrimmage that the Sabres had, and apparently the Sabres had gone through a lot of drills the previous day before the rookie scrimmage, and that day when they had like 20,000 people at the First Niagara Center, Jack Eichel looked spent, and it was like it was at the end of the camp, and he didn't have a lot of energy. And we both came to the conclusion, because the Leafs did a similar thing yesterday that was their hardest of the 3 days of drills, is that they wanted these players tired, because then that would sort of not have them go out and taking runs at players or be doing something silly, that they would be tired enough just to stick to playing the game and not do any extracurricular things.
Okay, I mean, I get that. I mean, the Flyers are going to have theirs on Monday. That was the typing that I did before when we said we were going to do a Patreon show, because late in the day on Monday they're going to have a 3-on-3. I think it's fun to watch those things. I think it's interesting that there was a trade today in rookie camp. You don't generally get that. I'm happy for Jonathan Bernier, because I think he's a great guy. I think he's been under just too much scrutiny for the last couple of years, and the change will be good for him. I think it opens up a lot of opportunities for the Maple Leafs. I think if I were the Maple Leafs and I were Lou Lamoriello, I go right shopping with New Jersey and look at Scott Wedgwood. I would.
So I buried the lead there. The trade that we were talking about was Jonathan Bernier getting moved to the Anaheim Ducks for a conditional draft pick, 2017 draft pick, and the Lou Lamoriello came out after the rookie scrimmage, which was unusual. And whenever Lou Lamoriello comes out after something when it's not expected, you know something newsworthy is happening, because he did this at the opening of training camp last year, came out unexpectedly and announced the Michael Grabner deal, and this time he comes out basically.
It's the same thing in my household. Like if my dad calls me, something is wrong, because usually my mom will call and then put my dad on, but if my dad calls directly, something is wrong.
Okay, and the speculation is, and if you think about this, it makes a bit of sense, that this may have been like part 2 of the Frederik Andersen deal. Because, and I wrote about this before July 1. Jonathan Bernier, the last year of his deal, cap hit is $4.15 million. $2 million of that is signing bonus, which is due to be paid July 1st. After July 1st, the Leafs paid that $2 million. He's a $2.15 million salary. The cap hits higher, but that's money out of pocket. So they saved $2 million waiting until after July 1. So Anaheim didn't re-sign Anton Khudobin. They let him go to Boston, and it didn't sound like there was any great attempt to go out and get a backup goaltender. So you knew that this is probably part of that deal. So it makes sense. Bernier goes back to Southern California, where he was comfortable as a backup. Former LA Kings first-round pick. He goes back to being coached by Randy Carlyle. Carlyle liked him in Toronto. It makes sense. And, Gibson is a young goaltender. I think that Gibson's going to be the number 1, obviously, but I think he's going to play maybe 50, 55 games, and Bernier can play 30. And we're in that neighborhood. And Bernier, you could see...
Well, because we don't have an 85-game season yet.
Oh, no, but he's saying 50 to 55...
Yeah.
25 to 30, somewhere in there that's 82.
I think Bernier there. I think it's a good move. I think,
Now it's 82, now that you've adjusted it. You had it at 85, now you're at 82.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, I think it's a strong move. I think, gets Bernier back to Southern California, where he had success before in LA, and, and I think gives Bernier a chance to prove what he's about, because he hasn't really hasn't been given that chance in a while playing in that environment.
No, it'll be good for him. I think it's smart. And Mike, you said there was something telling in the press conference as to why, like, someone like me would think that Lou would probably look at other teams' goalies, especially New Jersey.
Well, he didn't mention free agency, and I looked before the show. I looked up on Cap Central to see who the UFA goaltenders who are out there, in terms of who would be a good fit as a backup. And the only 2 I saw on the top of the list were, Ben Scrivens, who it's rumored that he's getting an offer from the KHL, so he might want to come back to Toronto and be a backup, or Jonas Enroth, who played in Buffalo.
Yeah, Jonas Enroth would be a good pickup for them, I think.
But this is the thing, Ak. This is a soft market.
Yeah.
A year out from expansion. Russ mentioned New Jersey. New Jersey's got, Corey Schneider is going to be the goalie to protect. You have Keith Kincaid, who's on 1 year left before he's a UFA. Wedgwood is an RFA, He's 23 years old. He would be exposed. And they also have Mackenzie Blackwood, a former second-round pick, who's like 19 years old. But he's in the pipeline. He's already signed to a contract, and he's in the pipeline. So they've got 4 goalies, and I think Blackwood is exempt. But this is like a situation that a number of teams have. They have the one goalie, and then they have that second and third goalie that they may lose for nothing. So a team like Toronto looking for a backup could find a backup for probably a low to mid-round pick. At least they get something for that guy.
In the 2012 World Junior for Canada.
Crazy. You guys saying that too?
No. Last year he had a 1.55 goals against for Albany. Like at 23, I think it's finally all clicked for him. He's about 6'2", probably around 195 pounds, and so he's the right size. You start him as your backup. You never know what you might have there, because in a couple of years, the Leafs are going to be looking for either a starting goalie or look to extend Anderson, but yet Wedgwood could be pushing for that in a couple of years. So, by the time he's 25, 26, you never know.
And, he's a Lamoriello draft pick, and he played wonderfully against the Marlies in the AHL playoffs. So, let's just say that's a possibility. There are other ones out there. There are other organizations like Winnipeg who've got a few goaltenders, and there are other organizations as well. So I think that's the direction they're going to go. I don't think they're going to sign a veteran free agent who's a one-year plug, and I don't think they have confidence in Garrett Sparks and Antoine Bibeau to be the number 2. I think they want to get somebody who's a little more steady.
There you go. All right, so the Flyers have signed Zuccarello. We're all following this, right? Matt's twin brother has signed with the Flyers. So that would be Joel Zuccarello.
What's the height on him?
He's his twin.
Okay, so he's another 5'7"-ish guy.
No, it's his younger brother. It's not his twin. Sorry.
Okay.
Fabian's no. His younger brother's Fabian. Okay, sorry. I'm just getting this notes as I was looking through. Okay. So Fabian. Fabian is undrafted. Okay. Small guy, 5'10", 157.
5'10". He's bigger than Matt Zuccarello.
Okay, there you go. So he's only 19. He's been playing hockey in Norway. There you go. So pretty interesting. And he has signed with the Valencia Flyers, so that's totally wrong. So people are totally screwing me up here. This text was completely confusing. I apologize very much. I thought it was funny, but it's totally messed up. So let's just move on to that.
No, I think this is like very similar to if you said back in the day, hey, I've got this great new movie and it's with a Swayze, and then you find out it's not Patrick Swayze, it's Patrick Swayze's brother, and it's not Dirty Dancing. It's a different movie. It's the same otherwise.
It's all messed up, totally. Let's move on to the next thing. Wayne Gretzky. Can I go to Wayne Gretzky for a second? Let me just always when in doubt go to Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky apparently recruited Milan Lucic to go to Edmonton. The quote that I was told was from Lucic, when the great one calls you and tells you to go to Edmonton, you go to Edmonton. That's what Lucic said. So there you go.
I'm just going to put this on record. If the great one called me and said go to In-N-Out Burger and eat 3 burgers, I wouldn't. It would go against everything I think I stand for. So I don't believe Milan Lucic on the basis of that. I don't.
No, you don't believe him at all? You think he's lying to you?
No, I think he called, but I don't think that was the main reason. I think the 7 years was the main reason. I just think it was cool to get a call from Wayne Gretzky. Yeah.
Well, I think Wayne does this. He's done this before. Yes. I know this. He's still obviously tight with people up there, and and Kevin Lowe especially. Who now that Taylor Hall's gone, there's some debate about whether or not that Kevin Lowe's number should be retired in Edmonton. I don't know
about that.
5 Stanley Cups.
Okay.
First of all, if the great one called, I would tell him to put Janet on the phone.
I spent some time on the elevator. It sounds weird, but with his daughter, just riding the elevator, not hanging out, but with the younger Gretzky. She's very nice.
She is nice. I met her at the Heritage Classic. Here's the thing.
Yes.
I would say this. I lost my train of thought. That's what I would say.
It's Friday, kids.
It's Friday.
Trivia question for you guys. When the one team that hadn't been doing much was Anaheim, and now they have made a trade, but they really didn't do anything. The only team that didn't sign somebody on July 1st was Anaheim. It's really surprising.
That is surprising.
Over the last since 2005, I got this off of Reddit Hockey, and I like this a lot. The average number of trades made by each team is 77. Okay, so basically every team has made 77 trades in the last 11 years or 10 years, and 10 or 11 years depending on how you look at it. And what do you think is the team who's made the most amount of trades in that time, and what team has made the least amount of trades in that time since 2005? It's a really interesting one. And I'm telling you what, the most one really surprised me a ton. Like, I would have guessed it would have been a team like Toronto, who makes a lot of trades.
Chicago.
I would have guessed Chicago. It's a good guess, but no.
Tampa Bay Lightning for the most.
Nope. This is now how, and the least. I'll tell you one thing. These teams have both won Stanley Cups since this has happened. Yeah, since 2005, both these teams have won Stanley Cups.
So we can rule out the Buffalo Sabres.
Right.
Carolina.
Nope. It's a good guess.
Anaheim.
Anaheim has made the most trades of any team since 2005. I never would have guessed that in a million years.
And ironically, I think the team that they've made the most trades with has been Toronto. There is a Anaheim-Toronto pipeline going back to Brian Burke.
Yeah.
You know, the Gardner-Lupul trade, the Bernier trade, the Anderson trade. I mean, there's been a lot the Peter Holland trade. There's been a lot of Anaheim-Toronto business.
Yeah, no, it's something else. I mean, that's something. I was surprised. Anaheim. So, and of course, Burke was there for part of that, and he does make a lot of trades. But then the team that's made the least amount of trades?
Yeah.
Hint.
Should I just give it to you?
No, hint. Give us a hint.
Oh, a hint. A good hint. Yes, again, a team that has won the Stanley Cup and been to the Stanley Cup Finals in that period of time and not won a Stanley Cup.
Devils.
Right.
Detroit has made 23 trades only. Only 23 trades. So that's it's less than 2 trades a year, or it's less than 2 trades a year.
Because they got that minor league system where they overcook all these players, so they don't need to make trades to fill holes. They just fill holes internally.
Right. That's very true. I'm hearing hearing something I also saw today that I do agree with. Yuri Hudler could be signing very soon. If he hasn't signed yet, I don't know. I was weeding my backyard this afternoon before the show, so I don't know whether or not he has signed yet. But Yuri Hudler, I have heard a really good chance of signing with Vancouver.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I get
only.
Again, this is just they're going down this road, so I guess they have to keep going down this road. I just think Vancouver is going the wrong direction. But they added Eriksson, they re-upped Markstrom. They're just bolstering this crumbling old core of the Burrows and Edler and Miller and the Sedins. And they think that they can, put enough, spit and baling wire together to keep that thing together for another year. And I don't see it, but we'll see. If they do add Hudler, that's sort of like a second, third line type guy who I'm not sure how much they'll have to spend, but I would say it'd probably be in the neighborhood of, well, if it's a 1-year deal, probably around $2.5 million. If it's a long-term deal, more. But
here's the thing. Before I talk about Hudler, I wanted to go back to the trades thing because in our last Ranger book, we had how many trades Phil Esposito made and how many Neil Smith made, and we think that Phil Esposito should be in the record books for it because he made 43 trades in 3 seasons, 14 trades a season. That's so per season wise, they've got everybody beat. But also Neil Smith made 102 trades in 11 seasons.
Whoa. And that's crazy. Think about that. This is 11 seasons we're talking about here, basically. So that's
9 per year.
That's more. That's 30 more than. That's crazy. In the Rangers book, you have to buy Russ Cohen, available at Amazon.
Adam Rader too. He was a bigger part than me, actually.
Adam Rader too, but
and half those trades involved Brian Noonan and Stefan Matteau.
But it's a crazy number of them. Now, getting back to the, I still don't know why Mike hates Vancouver the way he does, but he does. He just mute him. He clearly hates him. But I think Hudler would be a good pickup for them because I do think they need a little more offense. He would be a perfect guy to insert on the second line. If Sutter's healthy, you put Hudler and Sutter. Now all of a sudden you're talking to him, maybe with Vertanen or somebody like that on the second line. Now you're talking about a team that could field 3 good lines when you start talking about then Sven Barshy and they've got some other players. That's a 3-line deep team now in the West. And
that's very true.
With Ryan Miller in goal, who is not as washed up as Mike thinks he is, and I think Ryan Miller had a really good year last year. I do.
No, he did. And
let me just ask this question: do you think that team can compete with L.A., Anaheim, and Chicago?
I said it yesterday. I think I'll repeat it again. We watched that California Angels team full of veterans.
No. We're not talking about the Angels. We're talking about the Canucks.
I know. And so I think if they get Yuri Hudler and Ryan Miller stays healthy, I think they'll be competitive because they were competitive for half a season this year, and then they sort of fell off after the All-Star break. I think they'll be competitive if they add this player. I do.
Well, Vadim, whose name I don't like to say, the last Russian name, Shipakayev, baby.
Shipachev.
Okay, Shipachev.
Shipakov.
He's also in the running of the Canucks, and actually both are represented by Peter Svoboda, the agent.
Okay.
So I think Hudler, last year he was playing pretty. 2 years ago he had a great season, right? And last year he struggled. He was a trade deadline acquisition and really didn't do much after that either. But seems like the kind of guy you get him with. He's another one of those skilled guys that has to play with skilled guys, And if you put him in Vancouver, where they're building a lot of young skilled guys, I'm not opposed to it. I'm really not.
Either. I think it would be really good. I'm sure there'll be Snickers coming. Yeah, see there they are. But I like it.
No, I'm with you. I think that would be something. Someone sent to me this thing that was 11 years ago today that the NHL considered blue ice with orange lines. Remember that?
I was at a game with that. During the lockout,
right?
The Rochester Amherst and the.
Oh, you went to that? I didn't know you went to that.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the Toronto Marlies or if it was the St. John's Leafs at that point.
What else would he have done, Eck? Either that or go bowling. So at least he went and saw hockey.
Wow, man. It's pick on Mike Day. I'm all in. No, but that's just kind of a strange. No, to me it's. I mean, what did it look like, Mike? Come back. What was that like?
Come back on the show, Mike, please.
What was it like to see that game? I mean, that must have been.
It was. I mean, the blue ice was basically the color of the blue crease. So it was not totally. I mean, it was unusual, but it wasn't like.
You got used to it as the game went on. Pretty much, it just. Did.
Yeah. I mean,
it was like NHL '94, right? That's what it sort of looked.
Yeah, that's right. NHL '94.
Yeah, it wasn't very distracting. I wouldn't have a problem with it if they did it, but I mean, let's just say there are a lot of things in the game that they're talking about changing that I would say do that before doing anything else. I don't want bigger nets, but I wouldn't mind the ice beam. I mean, hell, look at the NBA. You have the parquet floor in Boston. You have different when the Raptors put their floor on the ACC. It's like a sort of totally different looking floor. I mean, baseball stadiums have different surfaces, so I don't see why that would be any kind of a big deal. The blue football field for Boise State. So there is room for a little difference. I wouldn't have a problem.
Like it. I'll be honest. I don't like it because I think everybody should have at least the same looking ice. Now, if you want to tell me, now here's the thing. Back in the day, because of the constraints of buildings, the Boston Bruins had a shorter ice surface, right? So
yeah, that was Chicago. And Chicago, Buffalo, and Boston.
So they no longer have that either. I'm okay with that stuff because if it's a constraint of a building, hey, that's the way it is. That's why I think baseball is kind of cool because they have different configurations. But as far as the color of the ice, I would draw the line there. I would.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure Boston was like 5 feet different. It was like 200 by 80 instead of.
It was taken out of the neutral zone, if you remember right, and that was and that was in the day of of the good old fashioned 2-line pass existed. So when you took that out of the neutral zone, that made a big difference. You had to make a pass pretty quickly in there.
Yeah.
And, I remember it very well. And I just to me, they didn't try the rounded nets. Remember that was also going around at that point.
Yeah.
That was crazy. That was that.
The invention of Larry Quinn, the former Sabres team president, and for that alone, he should be denied ever having a job in the NHL ever again. Because those nets are a bastardization of the game. I would hate if they brought them into the league. I would really hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I mean, that's something. Changing the nets, I think, is ridiculous. The only thing I've talked about before a couple times that I would consider even what would be raising the height of the nets just a little bit. But that's the only thing, and I think you could get away with that, with at the NHL level.
I wouldn't have a problem with a narrowing of the goalposts as long as you kept the net the same. The outside dimension of the net the same and narrowing the goalposts. Or I've heard people saying about angling in the goalposts so that it would deflect in the net.
Rudy's a big fan of that one.
Here's the thing, though. We're always looking to screw the goalie. Like, at the end of the day, every rule change out there is really there to screw the goaltender. Let's just be realistic and honest about this.
Well, they want more scoring. That's why everybody loves scoring.
Yeah, but we like good goaltending too, and at some point, whenever this happens, we don't know when it's going to happen, they could cross over and make it almost impossible for goalies. And I'm telling you, if every game was like 8-4, 8-5, fans would not like that. They think they would like that, but they would not like that.
No, I agree. I totally agree with that. And I mean, you can argue that the posts could be smaller and they could be that, but that really, at the end of the day, it doesn't really change much. I mean, it really doesn't. People talk about it, but it's hard to say. I mean, will a couple pucks that hit the post go in? Yeah, maybe. But I think that it's more about. I mean, I get the only thing about the size of the equipment. With the size of the equipment, we'll see how that changes things. That'll be interesting. I do think it will change things because these goalies are finely tuned machines, and I think that'll affect them. And I think some goalies. I think that's going to be the interesting thing about this year because we have all these goalies in weird spots. And then we have the big, of course, the expansion draft coming, which is that team's going to get a good goalie. The Vegas team's going to get a good goalie. There's no question about it because of the way this rules work. Somebody's going to lose a half-decent goalie to Vegas. So, but will it be a goalie that plays? That can play with the newer pads. Because it's so different. I mean, these guys really their whole formation is based on the way their pads bend and certain things like that. So I'm really interested to see that. I think that's going to be big.
Now, there's a lag time when guys order their pads. It takes like 6 months sometimes, right?
And it sometimes takes a year to break them in. So I'm really curious about.
I'm kind of wondering, have they already ordered them?
They must have ordered them, and they must be breaking them in already, I would think.
I would think because of the World Cup.
Yeah, right. Is the World Cup, are they going to have those rules in the World Cup? I don't even know.
That's a good question. I don't think they are, actually.
I don't think they are either. I mean, it seems like, one of those things, there'll be no... and will there be a... Someone asked me the other day, and I don't know. Will there be a trapezoid in the World Cup? Will that, like the trapezoid behind the goal?
I think so.
I would assume so, right? But in international play, we've never seen a trapezoid, right?
But now it's an NHL World Cup. I think it's going to be there. I don't know why. I have no reason.
I guess this is just be straight up NHL rules, but I'd love to see. That's the thing that we got to get rid of. We'll talk about that later in the summer, sure. But that to me,
trapezoid, I'm not a fan of.
No, there is absolutely no purpose for it right now. I think it's become something that's.
If you want to let a goalie just sit back there and decide who he wants to pass it to and not have there be any implications, then it's great.
Right. Now, there's a word out of St. Louis today that Doug Armstrong says that he spoke to Saboka's agent today, and he's coming back to St. Louis. Big news here.
Listen, I think he's a world-class pest. I don't think he's going to change the balance of power in the West, though.
No, but.
This helps with the Backus loss though a little bit.
Right.
I mean, this is
that's
offensively, it's not going to help. He doesn't score like Backus.
Yeah, no, he's a 10 to 15 goal scorer, but I mean he's a big body guy who hits, and you said he's right. You're right. He's a pest. So I think he would help them fill that hole and probably cost you like half of what Backus is making now.
I'd still rather have Backus though, and I think they would too. I think if they had a choice.
They just don't want. They just didn't want Backus for 5 years.
Right.
That's the problem.
Right, and that makes sense.
I think Saboka's been a guy who's been talked about a lot. Clearly, he would have been like a first-round draft choice of Tom Laidlaw. I mean, we know that, and because he had him on his team.
Yep.
It'll be interesting to see. We haven't seen this guy even skate in a couple of years. And the skating's gotten so much better in this league. I don't remember if he was a great skater or not. I'm going to be honest about that.
Yeah. I think he was a half decent skater. I remember more as a Bruin than anything else, obviously. Yeah. But
we'll see if his again because it does get faster every year. This league is clearly faster than where he was playing. So it may not be an easy transition. That's what I'm saying.
So I'm sure you guys got into VC yesterday, but today his agent, and since Dan's not here, we'll talk about him. Talk about him freely. VC's agent went on WGR, which is of course the radio station up in Buffalo, and said, "I felt the first meeting with the Sabres went quite well and was certainly informative." First meeting, the Sabres, yeah. Went quite well and was certainly informative. Jimmy was very comfortable with Tim Murray and Coach Bylsma. So they met in Boston.
That's all you need to know. First meeting.
They met in Boston. About this, there's all different kinds of, and when this is said and done, we'll have some good stories for you too about other things.
I'm going to ask this question. Normally, I wouldn't care, but knowing how attached he is to Boston, wouldn't you have asked if you were the Sabres to meet anywhere but Boston?
Right. Especially because I know he's been in Buffalo hanging out a little bit, so I know that's for sure. So I don't understand why this meeting happened in Boston.
Unless maybe his mom was in on it.
Well, his family could have been in on it too, but.
Well. I mean,
but I would have been like, hey, can't we choose Rhode Island?
Right, something else. I agree with you.
You can meet in Albany, meet halfway. No, but this is the thing. There are so many mixed signals being sent here.
Right.
And that's the thing. The agent comes out. Now, what you just said, the agent comes out, and it sounds optimistic for the Sabres. But then Jimmy VC himself, in an article by Kevin Paul DuPont in the Boston Globe last weekend, says, I'm going to August 15th. Then his brother Nolan, who was a Leaf draft pick, was talking to the media, including me at the rookie camp a couple days ago, and he said, "Well, where I play and where my dad is working is not going to, decide anything with Jimmy. He's going to go where it's the best fit, but it's going to be in August, on August 15th." So everybody is saying August 15th. Except these reports that say, well, the Sabres are talking to him. Great, the Sabres are talking to him. And he may choose Buffalo. But I think he's not going to choose Buffalo until after August 15th when he can talk to everybody else. It's sort of like Stamkos. Stamkos got to June 25th after the draft. He could talk to Buffalo. He could talk to Toronto. He could talk to everybody else legally, no tampering, no BS. And then he said, okay, I'll go back to Tampa. That might be what's going on here.
That's very possible. I mean, it makes sense. I agree. There is definitely some pressure on him at this point to do something with this. There are people out there. There's tons of conspiracy theorists out there who say all this Buffalo thing is just a way of avoiding some kind of crazy legal action about collusion or whatever. And that doesn't exist now with Nashville, like you said. Nashville's traded his rights. But who's to say it might not exist with Buffalo? I mean, somebody might still have something that they could actually say. So I don't know. It's all very confusing. I don't know quite how this is going to play out still. I just can't wait till it's done. I think that's how people. I think people are very much feeling that now.
Do just about anything and jump through just about any hoops to get a very good talent, and that's the thing about it. If he wasn't this good, he wouldn't be able to do this.
Right.
That's for sure.
That's really the issue, because if he was a lesser player, I think there'd be a lot less attention being paid to this. I think there would be less teams interested. I think, so that's what's changed this whole thing, I believe.
So, Mike, you put out something the other day, and this is, I don't know if you guys played this or not yesterday, but this is really a cool video. And this is, 430 retweets, Mike? Holy cow.
I know. This just shows the hunger of Leaf fans for anything having to do with Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner, because the bone of contention is Mitch Marner is not going to be big enough or strong enough or have enough muscle to be able to play in the NHL, and he got matched up against Austin Matthews in a one.
Yeah, we'll watch it here. This is the matchup. So Matthews is in the white, Marner's in the blue.
Correct. Marner goes in the corner, and he's holding his own against a guy who's 50 pounds heavier and 3 inches taller, and this battle goes on for 15, 20 seconds, fighting behind the net. Marner knocks him down. Eventually Matthews gets the puck back, and the thing that Matthews is sticking with a smaller, very quick forward in Marner, but pitched battle between a smaller guy and a bigger guy, and Marner held his own. And let's just not say that's definitive. Marner will make the NHL now, but that's an indication that he might be able to handle himself. But I still think there are other things that are going to be at play when it comes to him making the team. He's going to have to do that on many a night to convince Mike Babcock that he's ready to play in the NHL.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I talked about, Ek, that you didn't get to hear that I like about Marner is, and Mike agreed, is that when he has the puck and he sort of can go to a corner or go to a bigger area, he attracts a lot of attention. He'll get at least 2 guys on him. Somebody's always going to be open. Now, if he could grab pucks like this too, that's really going to increase his value. But just when he has the puck, when he goes to the right side, that opens up things on the other side, and so that helps anybody who's a linemate in it.
And Russ, that happened today in the scrimmage. He scored. He had 2 assists, and the second assist in the second period, it was a 3-on-2 break, and he hit the winger with a long pass. The winger kicked it back to him, and he drew the 2 defensemen to him, and then dipped it off to the other winger who roofed it past the goalie. So he was attracting the attention and sucking the defense in.
Yep.
I love the watch. This play is fascinating. This whole thing it deserves all the retweets it got, because this is really interesting on a lot of levels. Like, first of all, how Marner battles him here, where he does the whole, and this is something that Johnny Gaudreau does as well. He lets the bigger guy get to the puck first. Realizing that he's gonna, and he lets him get there. He pulls up right there. He can see before he pulls there, and then he's completely doing the pest thing, and Matthews is stuck against the boards.
The only thing that we have to say is Matthews played this totally clean. If this were a game, he might not have played it totally clean and may have tried to push Marner to the ice a little harder. But he did this totally clean, and that's what makes it more interesting.
He does a really good job here of shielding Matthews away. Like he basically that's just textbook shielding to the point where Matthews. But I love how at this point right here when he falls down, it's like a dad playing with his son type hockey for a second. But Matthews is on his butt here. It's really funny just to watch. Like, he's like, okay, all right, okay, stop it. Just like he's.
And Marner said afterward, because I asked him a question about him and Matthews going at it, and he's like the way that he sort of gets an advantage over the bigger guy is to sort of get inside on him, like sort of a boxer, get inside on him where he doesn't have as much strength, so he has the advantage of leverage, and it worked in that instance. Now, again, like Russ said, I don't know if that's going to be able to be the case.
Yeah.
Up against Shea Weber in the corner against Montreal, Shea Weber will just take his stick and slam it against the side of his head.
Right. The other thing too is when Matthews is down, this is something I try and tell people that he never gives up on a play.
Right.
He's like the Black Knight in Monty Python and the Holy Grail. Like, he literally is at a disadvantage on the ground, and yet he's still moving his stick and does everything he can, and then eventually does win the puck battle. And that's what this guy does.
This is a nifty little play, because like he does. You're right, Russ. Like, watching this play, he's on the ground. He's still maintaining control. And then Marner takes it away here, but Matthews is this is a neat little move right there to get it back from him.
Yeah.
I mean, that shows Matthews' skill right there on that little pick, because that's not easy to pick Marner's pocket like that, where he picked it right there. So this is a good.
Matthews got good at that when he was working with scorpions in the desert in Scottsdale.
That's good stuff, though. I mean, it really is, and it's exciting. And another thing, I'm going to give it to the Leafs right now. Another thing, the Leafs deserve a special bonus and a special prize. If I had a prize, I would give it to them right now for something else in this video. Can someone else tell me what it is? And Rush, you should know this from knowing me over all these years.
There's some mascot somewhere, but I didn't see it.
Nope. No. I'm not going to show it to you again, but there's something about this video that makes me very, very much respect, and a little bit surprising coming from a Lou Lamoriello team, by the way.
What, that they allowed video?
No, not that they allowed video.
That they didn't confiscate Mike's phone and break it?
No.
Pull me into the parking lot?
No, they didn't follow me in the parking lot. All right, check it out again for a second, and tell me what about this is different. Okay, so, because we've seen, you and I have been in plenty of camps, Russ, and you've been to plenty of practices and training camps and stuff like that.
They have names on the jersey.
There you go.
Oh, okay, yeah, the Flyers have names on them too, yeah.
Do they?
Yes.
Seriously?
Well, they have them at the moment. We'll see if they remain for the game. What we think is going to happen is, we think the minute they have the 3-on-3 game, that the name jerseys will go away.
Really? They better not. This has been.
What they'll do, Russ, is they'll change all the numbers around. They'll take off the names and change the numbers.
Right. But if you remember, they did have name jerseys like 2 or 3 years ago in camp, and then they went away for a while. We're so thrilled that they're back, though. We are.
No, I mean, if you're not, I got a little story to tell you about. Like, it was 2 years ago or 3 years. It was right after the Flyers went to the Stanley Cup Finals. It was 2011 training camp, and I'm there. And that was the day that Mike Richards came back and had that lovely conversation with all of us in the press box. Don't forget. That was the beginning of the end of Mike Richards in my mind. So anyway, he's there, and we come down. And I watched this really spirit. This is the first day of Flyers training camp, so all the guys are there. Everybody's there. You go down, and as I'm walking out, and there were probably about 1,000 people watching in the skate zone there where the Flyers practice, and you always get a good crowd. I'm sure are there good crowds for these, Russ?
Yeah, actually, fairly good. I think it'll be really good on Monday.
Yeah.
That's going to be for the 3-on-3. I think that'll be packed.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't include that. Today for that scrimmage, there were I arrived at the building in Niagara Falls at 9 o'clock for a 10 o'clock scrimmage, and there were, I would say, about 1,000 people lined up. The arena was 2,500. Most of the seats were filled. So
wow, that's pretty good.
On a Friday at 10 o'clock in the morning, the Leafs pulled 2,000 people, which was pretty.
I'm not surprised at all. I'm not surprised at all. And if they had advertised it more, I think they would have even more. They kind of like let these things fly under the radar a little bit.
The Buffalo Sabres tweeted out that Rene Jeanneret is actually going to do their scrimmage game online, so everybody could watch it, and he will play. That's crazy.
Rick Jeanneret is?
Rick Jeanneret. What did I say, Rene Jeanneret? My brain is bad today. Rick Jeanneret, sorry, is doing it. That's pretty crazy.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, I love these kind of games. I'm surprised. I don't know why the 3-on-3 though. That's a little bit weird to me. Like they have enough players there, don't they?
No. Theirs is not 3-on-3. The Flyers is 3-on-3.
I mean, the Flyers is 3-on-3. Why are the Flyers doing 3-on-3? I wonder.
They've only been doing 3-on-3 since Ron Hextall has taken over.
Yeah, it's really so. I mean, I like it. But I like obviously 3-on-3 is exciting, but you don't really. It's a really totally different game to try to get perspective on these players. Maybe that's on purpose. I don't know. But that's I don't know. It's kind of a strange thing. Anybody sticking out for you so far, Russ, at camp?
Yeah, I mean, I put up a few reports. I really like Felix Sandstrom, the Swedish goalie. He had a chance to play overseas this year against men, and there's a bit of a difference there. I like the fact that Carter Hart is oblivious to everything going on except what affects him.
Really?
And that really, if you think about it, that is the mark of a great goaltender, because you have to block out everything else that's going on except what they're telling you about what you're doing and how you're doing it. And and that's really the only thing that's really registering with him, other than the coaching with him, is just that. And so I found that to be kind of interesting. I thought that Reese Wilcox, the Cornell player, would look really good. And at 6'4", I want to say he's 220 now. This is a guy where we don't have stay-at-home defensemen anymore, but he is a guy that's pretty mobile for a guy that could play a similar role. And so I think he's just a year or two away. I don't think he's that far away. He looks really solid. Of course, Provorov is like, a cut above every other defenseman they have. There's no slight to them. It's just the way it is.
Is it true with Provorov and Konechny? Are you seeing it clearly?
You see it clearly, more clearly with Provorov. You see it at times with Konechny, but Pascal Laberge has very similar stick skills to Konechny, and when he's doing certain drills, he's as fast, if not possibly faster, than how with his stick skills. Now, what makes Konechny great is at game speed. He does things that some other guys can't do. But I'm not going to overhype Konechny, and he gained 9 pounds. He's 183 pounds now. But I'm not going to overhype him because, again, somebody asked him the question, hey, if you went back, is there anything for you to learn? And he was like, yeah. And Ron Hextall even gave a better answer. He goes, well, how about you become the best player in the league at your position?
Right.
To me, that's the definitive answer for anybody who ever asked that question. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you find, and I sort of found this at the rookie camp this week, when you have players like Matthews and Marner that are so talented that even though other players are playing well, you're almost subconsciously like everybody else stinks except these two guys because they stand out so much.
Yeah, I did do a tweet, and then it got muddled because sometimes you don't follow the conversation right. And I said that whoever was next to Pascal Laberge when he was doing stick skills was like, it was unfair.
Yeah, right.
No matter what that guy looked like, it just didn't look as good as he looked. And then someone's asking, well, who was that? And then I eventually said, I don't know, because I didn't know who it was, because I was watching LeBear so intently that I lost track of it. Another thing that I thought was important was, with a guy like LeBear, in the Q, he was not asked to play much defense at all. And somebody who I know very well who covers the Q pretty much said that. But when I watched him in the under-18s, he played a different role, and I thought that he was a really good forechecker. And so I wanted to make sure what I saw was real, and I asked him about that, and he definitely backed that up and said, yeah, he played a different role, and he played defensively, and it's gotten a lot better as a result. And so it just goes to show you that a lot of times when we're watching somebody in the league, we're watching what that coach wants that player to do.
True.
And sometimes that coach is not asking a player to do something. Sometimes he's saying, hey, just go out there and get me my points and don't play any defense. Where on the under-18 team, that coach was saying, hey, you've got to be defensively responsible, and he was able to play that role. I think it's an important thing when we're watching any prospect.
Right. No, it is interesting. I mean, I think I'm talking to people about, Konechny, and I haven't seen the camp. I'll be there on Monday. But I think the idea here is, as far as you're saying, like the game speed thing with him is the big thing, and also
seeing that in practice.
He just is a gamer too in general.
Yes.
I mean, that's something that you really like, and I think that this affected him. I talked to some people around him and recently, and they about the whole World Juniors last year where Travis Konechny was a good player for Team Canada but barely played any time. And he was really kept out of the lineup quite a bit.
Yeah, they didn't give him the right amount of ice.
Yeah, and yet when he was on the ice, he did produce. And I think a lot of this comes into the fact that he doesn't look that great in practices. When you have him out there in different situations, it's not his thing, but he does come up really big in games, which is hugely important. So.
Yeah, there was one other thing too. We were talking to John Riley, and he was talking about how I asked him about how they sort of set up these camps, how far in advance do they do it, and do they borrow anything from other sports? Because I happen to know that a lot of times teams do go check out other sports and see how they train and borrow. And at first he really tried to downplay it and say, well, we talk about it, and he said something else, and then he goes, oh yeah, and we were with the Kansas City Royals for a couple days.
Right.
The World Series champs.
There you go.
That somebody on staff there is from Cherry Hill. And so they went and they did learn some things and they didn't say exactly what they learned. They talked about how they watched some drills, and he talked about a baseball drill, which had nothing to do with what they were going to do on the ice. But there's always things you can learn from other sports, soccer, baseball, whatever. If you watch the training methods and you have a hockey mind, then you could transform what they do on the field onto the ice. And I think all good organizations do that. I think the ones that don't do that are behind the times. I think that's...
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you on that. And there is more that can translate than you think. Like there's so much of sports is mental, and there's so many like little drills you can do that are mental. That a lot of this stuff happens not even necessarily on the ice, but these guys, they talk about stuff behind the scenes.
Call these guys during the season, call the Oshawa Generals and get their guy on the phone and tell them to work on that.
Yeah.
And they have a coach telling them to do something else, and they have to play every night. So
right, exactly.
This is why this is called development camp, and
right.
Players, 3 or 4 of them, and I have to say, I give the Flyers a lot of credit, said, well, we're not competing against each other. And I thought that was great that a few players said that, just so they drive home the point, hey, they know soon enough, they're competitive guys, that they are going to be doing that, but they're not doing it yet.
Yeah, that's really good, and it develops a good team atmosphere as well, which is important for these guys. Right now, and there's no question that guys like Provorov and Konechny want to stay, and Sanheim want to stay. Sanheim, how has he looked?
He looks really good. I mean, he gained somewhere between 13 and 18 pounds. He says he's 201. I mean, even Hextall said he was blown away because when they drafted him, he was like 172 pounds.
Yeah, he's always been.
A couple of years now, he's 201. He looks great. He's fast. He's a smart kid. He's playing in a good league. Everything looks right. So then we have to sort of see now how that looks in September. But, he is right on track, maybe even ahead of schedule.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's and the one last thing I want to talk about today is Pavel Datsyuk has signed a 2-year deal in Russia with SKA St. Petersburg. Shockingly enough, he's not going to be he's not going to join Chris Pronger on the Arizona Coyotes. Instead, he picked the best place to play in Russia from what I've talked to.
Did we hear a dollar amount?
I didn't see the dollar not yet.
I had heard it converted to like around $4 million US.
That's nothing for him. Isn't that funny? Just to get two more, just what's another $8 million? You know, like what the heck?
Another wing on the house.
I know, any one of us would take half of that for any bit of time. You know, for the next 5 years.
I'll take prorated on that.
$2 million over the next 10 years, we'd be thrilled.
Yeah.
He's making $4 million over this year and $4 million next year.
Tax-free, probably too.
Probably tax-free. And St. Petersburg is, of all the teams, of all the places in Russia, and when I've talked to people, the nicest place to play. It's like it's a beautiful city, obviously.
Yeah.
Well, isn't he just replacing Radulov? Wasn't Radulov in St. Petersburg, or was that?
I'm not sure.
That was the team he signed with, wasn't it?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's.
Unless there's another SKA team, isn't that it? St. Petersburg SKA, I think. That's,
I'll check while we're talking.
Yeah,
I think that's it. Yeah.
Look, I mean, nobody's surprised. He's a great player. He deserves it. But it is amazing that they still have these opportunities. Now, I think in like 2 or 3 years, players are not going to have this opportunity. And then I think that's going to really change the landscape, because when players now it'll still exist for Swedish players and Finnish players if they want to go back and finish their career over there. Like someone like Henrik Lundqvist, I said, I believe will go back for a year and finish his career there when he's almost done. But with this, I just think I look at it and say, this opportunity is not going to be around much longer. So you kind of wonder, like an Evgeny Malkin, well, what's he going to do? Is he just going to play his entire career in the NHL? He might have to. Or will we see some Russian players go over to the Swedish Elite League or the Finnish League before they're done? That's what I kind of wonder.
Yeah, I mean that's what used to happen, right?
It was CSKA Moscow for.
Okay, yeah, CSKA. Okay, thank you.
And if Malkin never went back to the KHL, if the KHL still was existing, he'd go back to his hometown in Magnitogorsk. That's where, he'd probably finish his career. But he's 6-7 years away from that. I mean, right. He doesn't have.
Do you remember the whole Malkin thing when he disappeared from the team? Remember that whole thing? Remember how crazy that was when he disappeared from Magnitogorsk?
Yeah.
And disappeared, and then ended up in Pittsburgh all of a sudden. That was just when they were playing a tournament somewhere. I forget where it was, and he just didn't show up for the bus and was gone. Yeah. It was good old fashioned Russian thing, that we used to, haven't seen too often. But that was a good.
We might see that again in another year.
I wonder, I was thinking that too. I'm
thinking when it gets really close and players start to not get treated the way they feel like they should be treated, that contract or no contract, they may try and defect again before that league goes under.
Just bolt, Yeah, I mean that league is. I mean, no one can doubt. I mean,
if you're an import and play over there, they pay you until they decide not to pay you.
Right.
We've heard players talk about that. Like,
oh yeah, no, I know players still to this day who are trying to get money back.
Well, I think Ryan Whitney wrote about it in the Players Tribune. I think he talked about it.
Yeah, I mean, I know somebody who played there during the canceled season of the lockout and never been paid the entire year and got paid like the first 2 weeks, and then they said, "Well, pay at the end of the year when we get all of our money in," and they never paid him anything.
Yeah, and you can't sue Russia. You can't get a lawyer.
That's what he said. Who do I go after? Who do I go after there?
Right.
So I ended up playing for free for half a year. Yeah, no, it's true. You can't do it. So and they used to they would get McDonald's would be their pregame meal. I've heard that too, that they actually would have McDonald's on the bus, like bags of a burger, fries, and a drink.
Do you remember the John Graham, the former NHL goalie?
Yep.
He talked about getting paid with the money in a brown paper bag.
I've heard that too. That's definitely American money in a brown paper bag. I've heard that.
Money in a brown paper bag, and the problem was, where could you deposit it? Because the Russian banks were all so other than wiring it to like an account. Right.
What good is that money going to do you? I know exactly. You can't live on it if you can't deposit it anywhere and you can't spend it. No, that's pretty crazy. That is a weird scene. Hopefully, it's funny because a guy like Datsuk or Malkin at the end of his career. I mean, if you're Russian and you're that famous, you might as well go back and play a couple years in Russia because it doesn't really matter how good you are.
No.
At that point, those teams really. I mean, people will come just to see Datsuk.
Yeah.
He doesn't have to light it up, but he's such a celebrity there that people will definitely. He'll make his money back. If $4 million is probably nothing for him to make back in what they'll sell with jerseys and all sorts of things like that.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be a windfall for the team that has him. But like I said, I'll be curious as to what happens with that league. I think this Chinese expansion will be the final thing that kills them. I don't think it's going to be good for them.
That's interesting.
Yeah, And maybe the presence of Datsuk will infuse some life in the career of Ilya Kovalchuk, because that's where he plays in St. Petersburg. So maybe
there you go.
Having Datsuk feed him the puck will get him going again.
There you go. There you go. All right, we're almost like someone told me we're 2 months away from the World Cup of Hockey beginning, which is kind of crazy. Like there's like absolutely no time in the off season. We are literally the World Cup of Hockey starts like September. This is going to be the short. It's going to feel like the shortest off season ever because of the World Cup of Hockey starting. It's going to feel like the NHL starting, even though it isn't the NHL.
All right, so let's take that. I asked somebody about this the other day because I was talking to somebody in the media, and they were always like, "Hey, it's always nice because we get a break as media over the summer." And I said, but that break is going to be longer than what you want, because until hockey starts up again, whether you like the World Cup or not, you're going to have to watch the World Cup, or you won't have any hockey, and it's going to be later than it normally is. And I kind of wonder if there are going to be fans that don't watch the World Cup, it could be the longest summer ever.
It's true. I mean, I think I find it hard to believe that hockey fans wouldn't watch the World Cup of Hockey.
But there's going to be some, right? I mean.
Oh yeah, there's definitely. I mean, in some of the maybe
they may watch it, but the question is how much will they be invested in it?
Right, like in places like Carolina and Nashville, it might not matter to them very much here. But there's going to be some.
To use a soccer analogy, I know people who love the World Cup. They'll watch any World Cup game, even if it's like Cameroon versus Libya. But watching the Coupe Americaine or watching the Euro Cup, it almost seems like the World Cup of Hockey, like a created event, and there's no angst there, there's no pride there, and I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I'm willing to be a skeptic and think and say, okay, I'll give it a chance, but because I remember the Canada Cup in the '80s, and the '70s and '80s, I remember the '90s. The game, the U.S. and Canada with Mike Richter standing on his head, and if it can be close to that, it would be good. But I don't know if it can.
That's I just don't know.
And this is going to sound totally selfish and tough, but like my birthday is October 3rd, and the Rangers will be playing the Flyers in Philly, a game that I loved as growing up as a kid.
Right.
It's still going to be preseason.
I know. Preseason goes pretty long.
Training camps are being pushed back a week. The Leafs rookie.
I really wish they just had shortened the preseason. I mean, that just.
I wish that would have been the answer. That would have been the answer.
It would have been the answer. It's like I know you need the money. I know they need the money in the preseason, but my gosh, it's like.
Now the regular season is going to start like October 15th or 16th, I think.
And still end at the same time, and give everybody that week off in the middle. I don't know how that's all going to play out. Like there's more back-to-back games for sure. There's going to be crazy amounts of back-to-back games.
Yep.
Some players are going to get tired. There's no way around.
Yeah, there's going to be, and you're going to need more and more players, and we'll talk about that for sure as we go here, because it's going to be more injuries, it's going to be more trade deadlines, and so what we're going to do actually is, like I said, we're going to if you're not supporting us on Patreon, it's fine. Patreon.com/hockey, where you can support the show, which is wonderful. And if you can't do it, please continue to subscribe. If you can't do it, please continue to just subscribe and like the show and watch the show. It's really nice. The numbers are really up there. We really appreciate it that in July, like 2,000 people are watching the show per day.
Yeah, it's nice.
On YouTube. That's great. We're going to keep doing the show as long as you guys want us to keep doing it.
I have to say this, Zach. I crossed over the border from Canada into the U.S., and the border guy knew me from the webcast.
Wow, there you go. That's awesome.
And I'm just recovering from the strip search.
Well, remember, be nice to your Hockey Buzz people as we cross the border. I'm going to be crossing the border a lot in September, so yes, be nice to us there. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. Go to patreon.com/ I forgot I said that. Go to patreon.com/Eklund. Have a great weekend. No, /hockey. What am I doing? I am just tired. It's over. The show's done. We'll be doing a special show for you guys on Tuesday or Wednesday. We'll talk to you about next week. Remember, without the buzz, it is just hockey. We'll talk to you then. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.